Federal government calls for collaboration among ECOWAS countries. Zimbabweans stay at home amid violent demonstration fears. Myanmar earthquake death toll nears 3,000. Survivors without food and shelter. In business, Ruto's $150,000 church donation fuels political tension in Kenya. And in sports, Ikpeba hails Osimhen Chell for Super Eagles' performance against Rwanda, Zimbabwe. Details of this and more in a moment. A beautiful afternoon to you. This is Global News, World News, I beg your pardon, on Success 105.3 FM, the most popular radio in the state. We begin with reports that the federal government has called for collaboration with West African countries in the Sahel region on information and data sharing for effective border control. Speaking today on the sidelines of the Border Security Summit in London, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, said border loopholes and organized immigration crimes affect all countries in the region, further noting that these problems require shared solutions. The minister assured world leaders that Nigeria is committed to strengthening its immigration policies and is working with global partners to tackle transnational crimes such as human trafficking, smuggling, and fraud. Still in Africa, there was heavy security presence in several cities across Zimbabwe on Monday, largely to neutralize a national protest aimed at pressuring the country's president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, to resign. Most businesses, offices and schools in the capital Harare and Bulawayo were closed, with people choosing to stay home amid fears of unrest. Independence War veterans had called for the demonstration to protest against plans to extend Mnangagwa's rule, and there is fear that the protests could turn violent. In January, his ruling ZANU-PF party said it wanted the president to stay in office for another 2 years until 2030. Although the constitution limits president's term to 2 terms, the second of which Mnangagwa is currently running. Outside our shores, UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has called for people smuggling gangs to be treated in the same way as terrorist organizations. Starmer made the recommendation on Monday at an organized immigration crime summit in London, which brought together representatives from over 40 countries. Starmer emphasized the need for nations to collaborate in the fight against criminal gangs involved in people smuggling, while vowing to go after smugglers.
We're breaking your business model and leaving you nowhere to hide. We're working with law enforcement partners across the world to freeze your assets, to ban your travel, and put you behind bars. When I was this country's chief prosecutor, I locked up terrorists who plotted to blow up planes across the Atlantic. Now I'm going after the criminals who put people on small boats across the Channel. We're boosting enforcement with a new Border Security Command. We're giving the police more power to stop smugglers in their tracks. And we're making sure no...
He also urged world leaders on global cooperation to combat organized migration crime. Moving on, 8 groups in the West heat areas of Myanmar have said there is an urgent need for shelter, food and water after a devastating earthquake that killed more than 2,700 people. The death toll is expected to rise to more than 3,000 as search and rescue operation continues, according to Myanmar's military leader, Min Aung, in a televised address today. Recall Success FM reported that a 7.7 magnitude quake hit around lunchtime on Friday, and it was the strongest to hit the Southeast Asian country in more than a century. In a related development, a high-rise building under construction in Bangkok has collapsed, trapping numerous people. Recall that when the earthquake hit Myanmar, it sent its tremors to Thailand, but it wasn't immediately known that it had also collapsed the high-rise building under construction in Bangkok. Thai authorities have said they are investigating why the building under construction collapsed. Rescue efforts are currently ongoing, but officials report that no vital signs have been detected within the rubble, further raising concerns about the diminishing passage of time and the lowered possibility of finding survivors. So far on the world news coming to you from Success 105.3 FM, federal government calls for collaboration among ECOWAS countries. Zimbabweans stay at home amid violence demonstration fears. Myanmar earthquake death toll nears 3,000. Survivors without food and shelter still to come in business. Ruto's $150,000 church donation fuels political tension in Kenya. And in sports, Ikpeba hails Osimhen Chell for Super Eagles' performance against Rwanda, Zimbabwe. Stay with us. Thank you for rejoining us. This is World News from Success 105.3 FM. And now talking business. Kenya's President William Ruto sparked protests recently after donating some $150,000 to a Nairobi church just months after saying such handouts fueled corruption. Ruto's pledge of 20 million shillings to the Jesus Winner Ministry Church led to protesters gathering there a week later, demanding the return of what they called stolen tax money, only to be tear-gassed by police. Church donations and fundraisers are a long-standing tradition in Kenya, and politicians often use pulpits to reach the masses in the predominantly Christian country. But the practice has become increasingly divisive since mass protests broke out last June against tax hikes, corruption, and police brutality. In entertainment, American rapper Kanye West has urged his colleagues to learn from Nigerian Afrobeats artists, Jewish investors, Chinese and Indian tech gurus. In a recent interview, West criticized American rappers, claiming they often lack understanding of the legal and business aspects of music and rely on foreigners for assistance in those areas. The rapper said, "None of these rappers are as smart as him, and they are not conversant with the use of technology." The 47-year-old music icon also said that some of his colleagues whom he had supported in the past betrayed him. And now talking sports, former Nigerian international Victor Ikpeba has praised Victor Osimhen and coach Eric Chell for the Super Eagles' spirited display in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. While speaking on a televised interview on Monday, Ikpeba expressed admiration for the commitment and attitude of Osimhen, adding that he gave everything and scored 3 goals. The Super Eagles defeated Rwanda 2-0, recording their first win in the qualifiers before they were held to a 1-1 draw at home by Zimbabwe. Osimhen grabbed the brace against the Amavubi of Rwanda and scored the Super Eagles' only goal against the Warriors of Zimbabwe. Before we go, here's a summary of the main stories. In the news, we told you that the federal government has called for collaboration among ECOWAS countries. You also heard that Zimbabweans stayed at home amid violent demonstration fears. On the foreign scene, we told you that Myanmar earthquake death toll has neared 3,000. Survivors are without food and shelter. In business, Ruto's $150,000 church donation has fueled political tension in Kenya. And finally, in sports, Ikpeba hails Osimhen Chell for Super Eagles' performance against Rwanda, Zimbabwe. You can be our correspondent anywhere you are. For newsworthy occurrences, reach out to our news desk on 0805-081-5151 or send an email to sfmnewsroom@gmail.com. You can also view us live on www.success1053fm.com or download our app on Google Play Store. That's the news as edited by Ademola Adiagbo. I am Marygift Sunday. Good afternoon, and thank you for listening.
Experience fresh air. Feel the beat of the drum. Feel the splash. And spread your 32. All in one station.
That's right.
This is Success 105.3 FM Ibadan. Keeping you